record.
Okay, let me turn on my timer. Yeah, it was a little. Okay, so I'll do, because I was like doing this, but then I kind of miss it. So I'm gonna do, I don't know. I'll just show up the paper every time it hits a minute. Okay. Starting from 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chloe.
Of course. All right, whenever you guys are ready.
Okay. All right. So, 1, 2, ready, go. Why are the expectations for students so high, but the support from the educational system is too low? We, as college students, have experienced the educational system and the changes that come along with it. One of those big changes has to do with the transition to Common Core. Well, with all the changes that we're already going through, going into early adulthood, the last thing we need is an academic curriculum change. And Common Core actually has plenty of downfalls. So one being they put the kids at same learning paces. There is too much of a focus on testing, and there are negative effects on students' overall academic performance, and it discriminates against those who are in a lower socioeconomic area. Now, going back onto my first point, Common Core puts students at the same learning paces. Now, we all have different brains. We are all supposed to be learning at different paces. And, this means students can either be learning, having a difficult time learning with Common Core, or they could just be having way too much of an easy time while doing Common Core. Common Core can either be too fastly paced for students or too slow. And according to Douglas H. Clements and Julia Saramas, the research based on childhood mathematics response to Common Core criticisms, the standards are too early and therefore developmentally inappropriate for children in earlier grades. Now imagine being a younger kid and you're struggling to keep up with the Common Core standards. Your self-esteem is bound to plummet. Now, going on to how Common Core focuses too much on testing is Allison.
So building off of Madison's points of keeping students at the same pace of learning with Common Core, it also comes along with testing. So of course they want to test how the curriculum is doing and how students are reacting to this. This puts a lot of focus on test preparation due to Common Core, giving schools incentives that they'll receive more funding if students score higher on these tests. So according to an article from North Carolina High School Journal called Common Core and Their Impact on Standardized Test Design, it states that researchers question the validity of these high stakes due to the association with high levels of test preparation, meaning that teachers put a lot of focus on test preparation in their classrooms instead of trying to teach their students the actual material. This discourages students from actually progressing in their educational path and put them in a mindset that testing higher and receiving good grades on these tests is what is really important. So overall, it takes away the support from the students, and teachers become more competitive with each other and with the school in order to get this funding. So more on these negative effects on students is Anna.
According to Loveless Tom, with the title Common Core Has Not Worked, Education Next, Volume 20, in the most recent study found in 2019 by the federally funded Center on Standards Alignment, Institution, and Learning, CSAIL, found that the Common Core had a negative effects on students' performances. This study basically showed that the Common Core overall wasn't successful and it didn't accomplish what supporters had intended. And because of it, and because of the Common Core standard, both time and money were wasted. There was also another research that I found that according to the Fordham Institute 2010 evaluations of the state English language arts and math standards, the SAIL researchers also detected that there was a statistically significant negative effects in both fourth grade reading and eighth grade due to the Common Core state standards. And as you can see, I'm also demonstrating a graph where you can see that Common Core had no impact whatsoever. And it also, because of that, it became harder for supportive parties and advocates to urge the patients and argue that Common Core's positive impact would eventually emerge, because right after that, in 2017, the Common Core negative effects actually became worse. Overall, this evidence suggests that the students' achievement would have remained the same if we had never adopted Common Core standards. Therefore, the researchers say that it was basically like it didn't change anything. It didn't really help students to perform to succeed in any way. Chloe, now you can take it away. Thank you.
So not only does Common Core hinder the achievement of students, it can also play at a disadvantage for students in lower socioeconomic areas. Because they're in these different areas insinuate different qualities of teaching. It doesn't ensure the same resources or the same standards. So these students are getting different qualities of education and they're expected to do the same thing. J.M. McPartland highlights in his journal discussing the prospects and pitfalls of Common Core that disadvantaged students who don't receive as demanding of a curriculum won't have the same outcomes as those who do, which brings us back to Anna's point about the different outcome and achievement levels that students are lacking. Lauren Davis, in her journal article titled Common Core and the Continued Socioeconomic Achievement Gap, How Can We Prepare Future Teachers?, expands on this idea and states that students from lower socioeconomic statuses enter high school a significant amount of grade levels behind a student in a higher socioeconomic class. So this kind of insinuates that students in different socioeconomic classes have different standards of education. Also, in being a lower socioeconomic class and area, it embodies many different responsibilities. Also in Davis's articles, poverty can also reference a lack of time, important relationships and models, proper nutrition, health, and sleep, in addition to monetary resources. So these many different responsibilities kind of take away the focus of the students, and they end up focusing more on their home responsibilities rather than their education, while being expected to do the same thing. Although Common Core has different negative aspects, Dylan's going to discuss a positive.
All right, now it's time for the counter arguments. So it has been researched that Common Core has been seen to benefit students with learning disabilities. According to Teaching Exceptional Children, Common Core is emphasized as being the preferred route of curriculum towards those students with learning conditions. Although it would be easier to simplify one curriculum for all students, it doesn't make sense to apply it to all. Since, according to iMagazine, an educational publisher, Common Core does not aid students in areas such as science, engineering, and technology. This is for careers in those fields. That being said, if the push is to use one curriculum that satisfies and excels all students to their highest potential, then why implement a curriculum that slows some students? This leads us to the end of our speech. First, we had Madison talk about how it would either slow or fasten the learning process for some students, or it could be too fast or too slow. And then we had Allison talk about the unfair testing standards, and then we had Anna talk about the negative impacts of learning with Common Core, and then finally we had Chloe talk about this discrimination against socioeconomic areas, and then finally I talked about the counter arguments towards taking away Common Core. But the underlying truth is that Common Core benefits some students, but it doesn't benefit all students. Thank you.
I'm sorry. It's